Good morning, and then you are welcome to our first lesson, that is solving in standard form. Resolving in standard form. This is what we are going to talk about. I chose to speak on this because it is very important. You guys may see it to be very cheap or very simple. That some of you may even think that when they give you the question, you can just enter it in your calculator and then you get your answer. But that is not the case. Why they mark in steps? That's why they give you the question. They know that you can type it in your calculator and get the answer. So if you do that, they will not mark the procedure. You just mark your final answer. And in more cases, you may get the final answer also wrong. So when we talk about standard form, it's about working and then they give you a problem and then you solve the problem and leave your answer in this form. That is in A point B, C, D up to any number by 10 exponents n. So we have A can be any number. This A, B, C, D are any numbers. It can be any digits. This can be any other numbers. But A can only be greater than 0. And it must always be less than 10. That means A can be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. But it cannot be 0 or 10. So whenever you are given and you have your A to be 0 or 10, that means it is not in standard form. For example, when you have 10.00, that is not in standard form. So you have to make it in standard form. So then the BCD can also be any other numbers. For those ones, they can be 0 and it can be even 10 or any other thing. And then the by 10, the times 10 here, the times 10 is compulsory, raised to the power n. Then the n means the number of decimal places that you've moved. For example, when we have 10,000, this is 10,000. It is not in standard form. Then we have to make it in standard form. That means we have to leave it in this form. Make it in this form. Let me remind you that the n can be any number apart from 0. It can be any number apart from 0. It can be 1, 2, 3, up to 900, any other number. But you don't work to those numbers. You only work to maybe 100 for now. That's what they give you. So let's come back to this 10,000. Let's leave it in standard form. So for this one, we assume that the decimal point is here. It's 10,000.00. So now let's make it this way. We are going to make sure that we leave it in this form. So we move this decimal place from where it is. Now move 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where we stop because at here the number at the left side is only 1. Are you following? So we now have 1.0000. Are you following? By 10 raised to the power. How many times did you move the decimal point? Are you following? You moved it 4 times. Are you following? So you have 1.000 by 10 exponent 4. But since these are all zeros, it is not necessary. You can leave it. You can just write 1.0 by 10 exponent 4. Are you following? You are done. So they don't just give you these simple questions. They give you difficult ones in fractions containing board mass, so that you have to work it very well and then arrive at this type of answers, leaving your answer in standard form. So this is in standard form. You see, from here we have something like, let's say this one is the A point, B, C, D, and then E by 10 exponents. Therefore, it's our n. Are you following? So this one is now in standard form. But they won't just give you simple questions like this one. They'll give you a difficult one involving board mass so that you solve it and then leave your answer in this form, in standard form. Are you following? So let's work an example so that you see how it looks like.